I'm here with Granny today, and I'm going to ask her the last of the wonderful questions that all of you have submitted for this little Q&A session we've been doing with Granny. And if you missed the previous ones, I'll add that link in the description below to the playlist so you can go watch those. The first question, Granny, if someone gave you $1,000, what would you buy or do?
I'd probably spend it every bit for clothes and groceries.
Did you buy any crochet thread?
And crochet thread, of course.
Yeah. What's your favorite TV show?
Nowadays,
Mm-hmm.
probably Gunsmoke.
You watch a lot of Gunsmoke. We do too at home. Who was your favorite actor?
Jimmy Stewart.
When you were young, was there a singer or an actor or something like that, a movie star that you had a crush on?
Well, when I was just a little girl, we didn't have a TV, we just had a radio. And I liked Hank Snow.
You liked the way he sung?
I liked his voice.
Do you know when your mother and father was born? So when was Gazzy born? What year?
Well, I believe 1905,
And then what about your daddy?
1901.
What do you think of the names that Corey and Katie picked out for their babies, Woodrow and Ira?
Oh, I like them.
Did you think you'd like them in the beginning, or you wasn't so
I
sure?
wasn't so sure, but now
They really fit them, don't they? Fit their personalities. Have you ever crocheted anything for yourself that you kept?
Oh, yeah.
What about what you're wearing? You talk about it.
Yeah, this is so far, I think my prettiest sweater. It fits me good, and I like it the best I've made of any of them so far.
But you keep quite a few things. You've got lots of sweaters you wear, and your crochet coat you wear, and pillows and flowers and different things you've made. Yeah. Is there anything you like to make as far as crochet goes more than anything else? What's your favorite thing, or do you like all of it?
I like to make sweaters.
Sweaters is your
and
favorite?
baby clothes.
David Hensley, who started us on this, it was his ideal for us to ask you questions, or for them to ask you questions. He says, what questions would you have for them, for the viewers that are asking you these questions? Do you have any questions for them?
No, I wouldn't have any questions, but I would just want to thank them for being interested in listening to you ask me questions.
Have you ever made doilies?
I think I may have made one or two.
Did your mother make them?
Yeah, she did. She could make them real pretty.
She put them on just the coffee tables and stuff, or
Yeah.
some people put them on their couches and arms of their chairs
Yeah,
and stuff.
She made some pretty ones. She just put them on the
Tables.
end tables.
Do you remember what the first meal was that you ever learned to cook?
No. I didn't know how to cook. And I couldn't make biscuits. So when me and Jerry first got married, I bought canned biscuits. And I learned to like them. They're pretty good. And then finally I learned how to make biscuits.
They were pretty good, but I bet they wasn't as good as Mama's or Granny's, were
No,
they?
I couldn't make them like Jerry's mother and my mother both could make really good biscuits.
You just kept trying till you figured it out, because you make really good biscuits, of course, my whole life.
Well,
Mine are not as good as yours.
Jerry got so he liked my biscuits. I guess it was just because he was used to them.
Can you think of something today that people have just kind of forgotten about, or that they don't talk about anymore today?
Well, most of the old timers are gone. They'd talk about hard times when they was growing up, but most of them are gone now.
I remember one time I was doing a blog post series about corn, and Daddy was going to show me how to parch corn. Do you remember that? And we parched it two different ways, but one of the ways was with dried field corn that y'all had grew. And then we were going to grind that and cook bread with it, gritted bread. But of course, we didn't have a grinder, so he sent me out with a hammer. You remember that? And you had a little flour sack. I put it in, and I hammered and hammered and hammered. And I said, that's just a lot of work. And you remember you told me, Granny said, well, that's what it was like when me and your daddy was little. It took all of your time to get water, to get food, and to get wood. Mm-hmm. And there wasn't no time to be mean. There wasn't no time for meanness. Mm-hmm. That was when things were harder, wasn't it? Did you make my wedding dress, Tipper's wedding dress?
No.
Can you tell the story? I guess I've mentioned it before, and they want you to tell the story about the masked animal that you seen when you first moved in here.
I used to throw food scraps from breakfast. I'd throw them out in the ditch behind my house. And one day I saw a raccoon, and I'd never seen one before. And I run down to Memo's. I said, I saw an animal that looked like it was wearing a mask. What is it?
What?
And they laughed at me.
Yeah. Did she laugh?
Yeah.
She thought that was funny.
Yeah.
There's that picture above your head. I'll insert a picture here so you can see it, but people have noticed it in some of the videos. I'm not sure it's showing in this one. But I know you've had it as long as I've been alive, but where did that picture come from? Can you tell about it?
My brother, he sold antiques, and he sold me the picture at a very good price. It was only $5.
Oh, wow.
He practically gave it to me, and I really like it.
So which brother?
Junior.
And he was
my oldest brother.
I mean, he was from here, but he lived the rest of his life in Michigan.
And he'd go where they's tearing down old houses and selling the old stuff, and he'd buy it.
Mm-hmm. You have a few things that came from him, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
I have one that you give me. Do you remember that beautiful? You thought that it come out of a church. It's like the Madonna. It's like almost like stained glass. And Miss Cindy framed it for me. Do you remember that? I'll have to take a picture of it and bring it and show you.
I don't remember that. I remember he made you a little leather pocketbook.
And I found it the other day. I was looking for something else, and I found that little pocketbook. I still have it.
He made Paul a little leather vest. Mm-hmm. It was real cute. Mm-hmm. And made him a belt. Mm-hmm. A leather belt.
Well, my whole time growing up, that picture, I've loved it. It's just a beautiful scene with looks like fall of the year with the trees, and then the mountain, of course, and the cozy little cabin and the cattle. But what did you tell me when I was little what it reminded you of?
I told him that was Jerry and his grandma. They were going across the mountain somewhere.
Does he tell you that they tell you stories about when he was little?
Well, he said his grandma, one woman had died in another community, and they got his grandmother to come and make her a dress to be buried in. And it made me think of that picture, that maybe if she went, he went with her.
He spent a lot of time with her and his grandfather, and they walked, of course, in those days, walked a lot of the places. Mm-hmm. He told me that they'd go over to the dockeries and different places, and she'd take them quilt scraps. Do you remember when your parents were married?
No, I don't know well, they did get married on May the 30th because they slipped off from church.
Yeah.
May the 30th.
I think it was 1921. Does that sound right? That's what I'm thinking in my mind, maybe. May 30th, 1921.
Probably.
What's your fondest memories of the twins, of Corey and Katie? Your fondest memory?
When they were taking bottles, and you'd get me to come and help feed them because you couldn't feed them both at the same time. I was holding Corey, giving her a bottle, and you were holding Katie. And all at once, they were just babies. All at once, Katie looked up at you and she said, "Mimi, And nobody had told her to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really a thrill for me.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody had told her to do that.
She said Mama, or Mimi, she called me. She said that first, and Corey said Dada first, Daddy. What about your other grandkids? You've got, how many grandkids you got? 5?
5.
So what about, let's start with Ben. What do you remember about Ben? He was the first, of course, so he was
Yeah.
extra special because of that.
Oh, he was really a cute little boy, and he'd come out here, and I'd know he was coming, and I'd say, "Is that you, Bimbo?" He said, "My name's not Bimbo, I'm Bebo."
Bebo. He called himself Bebo, didn't he? Yeah. So what about next is Mark. What about Mark?
Oh, Mark was cute too. He was as cute as he could be. I've got a picture here somewhere where he was little, and he was putting one of his feet in Pap's boots, and they come way up on his legs.
And he's trying to walk in them. Mm-hmm. And what about April?
April, she was real cute too. All of them were. Jerry, every time he could, he liked to feed April. And one time Jerry asked her, said, "April, can you eat 2 eggs?" She said, "Yes, but I can't eat but one at a time." And Jerry laughed and laughed.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah.
It really tickled him.
What was your favorite TV programs in the old days? What did you, when you was, y'all didn't get a TV till you were older, I don't guess,
Yeah,
but
we didn't. And I don't know if anybody else had one or not, a long time ago, but I like to watch I Love Lucy and The Life of Riley. That's 2 of my favorites.
can you play a musical instrument?
No,
Are you the youngest of your family?
no, I've got 2 brothers younger than me.
How many siblings?
4 brothers and 4 sisters, and only 1 brother still living besides me.
And he's the youngest. That's
He's the
still living.
youngest. He's
Lucky.
younger than me.
And we went over the names and stuff in another video, so maybe you could go back and look at that if you wanted to. Do you like to fish?
Not really. My mother used to send me with Grandpa when he'd go fishing at Caney Creek. He'd take him a folded chair, and he'd sit in it and fish. And that was just his way of getting out of the house a while, I think. He hardly ever caught a big fish, usually one about like that. And I would give him grasshoppers to put on his hook, but I wouldn't mess with the worms. Mm-hmm. Mama would make me go with him. She was afraid he'd pitch over in the lake. If he did, I probably couldn't have pulled him out.
Yeah. Maybe she thought you could run for help or something. Yeah. Do you ever remember your dreams when you dream at night? Do you remember them during the day?
Well, Mother said, if you had a bad dream, don't tell it before breakfast, and it won't come true. And so I never did. I never would tell if I had a bad dream.
Mm-hmm. You remember some of your others, though? Just you dream a lot, or you don't dream a lot?
I don't dream much, never did.
Pap did, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I get that from him. I dream like that every night. Can you speak a foreign language?
No, I did take Latin in high school, but I never learned to speak it much.
If you could, is there one you wanted to learn? Would that be it, Latin, or?
Well, Latin helps you because a lot of the English words come from the Latin. Mm-hmm. So it helps you with the English.
Do you still have a childhood friend that you stay in touch with today, or is there a childhood friend you stay in touch with today?
Well, I just had mostly my cousins were my friends.
And you still see them? What about your friend in Gastonia? You were older then,
I
probably
was a teenager when I met her.
but y'all stayed close all this time.
I think she's, I can't remember how old she is, but she's quite a bit younger than me.
Her name's Amanda.
Amanda.
Y'all talk on the phone still. You met her when you was staying with your sister.
I met her when Dorothy would come get me in the summertime and take me out there, and Amanda's family lived across the street. And that's when I met her.
Friends. Did you ever wear pants when you were young, like to do chores? You said in another video you had to wear dresses all the time. Did you wear pants?
We never had any pants to wear except one time we had a pair of pedal pushers, they called them. They was real pretty, little black cotton pants, real pretty. And I liked them.
Is that like capris, kind of like capris?
Well, they come down to your ankles.
Oh, did they? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They was pretty and they was comfortable.
So this next question comes from Cash Carter. He's 10 years old. And he wants to know what vegetable you've grown and eaten the most.
Probably green beans.
And you and Daddy grew a lot of green beans, didn't you? And canned a lot. Most years you'd can 100 jars, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
How did your memory stay so sharp?
I'm like an elephant. I don't forget nothing much.
It's true, you don't. I forget what happened yesterday, and Granny remembers what happened 25 years ago on a Thursday. Can you look at something and then make it, crochet it? Or do you have to have a pattern?
Sometimes I can and sometimes I can't. But I saw a picture of some flowers on the back of a magazine, and I tried to make them, and they turned out pretty good.
Is this them over here?
Yeah.
You want to show them? There you go. Those are beautiful.
And it was in a basket about like this. And I happened to have this container. I bought it to plant flowers in. So these turned out really pretty, I thought.
And then you crocheted the little cover to go on the pot.
Yeah. I really liked them. But sometimes I could look at something and still can't make it. I want it to turn out to look like what I saw in the picture. But most of the time I have to have directions or I can't. So this is one time I made these flowers.
Those are beautiful. Did you have a hula hoop when you were young?
My cousins did when they'd come to visit, and I played with theirs. I don't think I had one.
What about roller skates? Did you ever have roller skates?
We lived in one house where the people had moved to Ohio, and they let us live in their house, and there was a pair of roller skates upstairs. But I never had no roller skates. I never put them on.
Did anybody else, your brothers or anybody, put them on and try them?
No.
Was it just their stuff and you wasn't supposed to bother it, or none of y'all were?
Yeah, nobody was supposed to bother it.
Okay, yeah. Did you like Elvis?
I loved to hear him sing. He had a beautiful voice.
Do you have any advice to a woman looking to become a better person as a Christian and a mother? What would your advice be?
Just read your Bible and pray.
Have you ever seen anything strange in the woods at night?
Now, I'm too scared to go in the woods at night. I'm too scared to go in the daytime.
How did your parents meet? We said they got married 1921, but how did they meet?
Mama knew his sister, and Daddy was in the Navy. And his sister wanted Mama to go with her to see Daddy getting off the train. And she did. And Mama really liked him.
So did they have a long courtship?
I don't think they did.
And then did they have a big wedding? We said they got married.
They slipped away from church. They eloped and got married. So they didn't have a big wedding.
So they left in a wagon? Is that the story I've heard?
Horse and buggy days. Mm-hmm. That was about the last of the horse and buggy days.
What about didn't they have to bribe Granny's sister?
Yeah, Aunt Pearl was just a little girl when they got married, and she knew they was trying to keep it a secret. And I wouldn't have known it, but she told me. She told them, if you don't pay me $1, I'm going to tell. And so Daddy gave her $1.
Yeah.
Dollar bills was hard to get back then.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
But I thought that was really a cute story.
Mm-hmm.
It
So
sounded just like Aunt Pearl.
Yeah, so they didn't want nobody to know. They were afraid their parents wouldn't like it, or Granny's parents wouldn't like
they
it.
just slipped off from church and got married. They left church in a horse and buggy and got married. The front row is Daddy and Aunt Pearl and Mama, Grandpa and Byers and Grandma and Aunt Grace. And this is from left to right. And the back row is Henry, Gertrude, Harrison, and Hardy.
So this was your grandpa and grandma, Thomas and Amanda Truitt, and all their kids.
Except one. They had another one
After this picture was taken. But then your mother and father there, they probably had just got married.
Yeah. And that's Aunt Pearl. She was just a little girl.
And she was the little girl that bribed them to keep their marriage secret.
Yeah. They had to pay her $1 or she was going to tell. And way back then, $1 was hard to get. But they did. They paid her.
Did Granny have, when you was growing up, was there a certain day for washing or cleaning?
She usually done washing on Mondays if it wasn't raining.
Did you have to help with that?
Sometimes I'd help hang them out. She didn't let me wash. She scrubbed them clothes till that's clean until she got a washing machine. She got a washing machine.
When you were a girl, did you play hopscotch?
Yeah.
Did your sons or your Paul and Steve or your brothers or anybody you know play mumbly peg? You know how you play it with the pocket knife, throw in the pocket knife?
I don't think they did, because I don't think they had a knife.
But they played marbles?
Marbles, they played marbles.
Mm-hmm. And then the very last question is, this may have been from David too, I can't remember, but somebody, I think it was him, wanted to know if you would tell the story of the yellow root scarf when your mother made you a yellow root scarf.
George was getting...
And that's your brother.
Yeah, he was getting wood for the cook stove. And he had it in a wheelbarrow. And he had the planks, the porch was high, and he had the planks up against the porch to roll it up on. And he yelled for Genevieve to help him to get up on the porch and guide it. And she didn't do it, so I did. I was going to help him. So he said, no, you can't do it, you can't do it. And he jerked the wheelbarrow back, and I fell off the porch and cut my head. I had a little scar right there. And Mama made a big deal out of it. She sent Daddy to the creek to get yellow root, and she made a scarf to tie around my head, but first she dyed it yellow. It was the prettiest shade of yellow.
Wonder if she thought the yellow root had like medicinal properties, if it would help it and keep it from getting infected or something.
She may have. She was good at doctoring sick people. If anybody was sick, they'd send for her.
But you thought, just thought about it being so pretty because it was yellow.
Mm-hmm. A pretty shade of yellow.
I know George felt bad, I'm sure, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. It was nobody's fault.
It just
he told me not to try to help him because he didn't think I was stout enough, you know. But Genevieve, he yelled for Genevieve to come and guide the wheelbarrow when it got to the top of the planks, and she didn't come, so I tried to. He said, no, I couldn't do it. I was too little, and he jerked the wagon back, the wheelbarrow back and I fell off the porch.
Well, Granny, thank you for answering all the questions. I know everybody's really enjoyed it, and we thank each of you who submitted a question, and I'm glad you did because I ended up learning a whole lot from Granny that I didn't know, so I really thank you for that, and I know Granny does too.